And welcome to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Hello, everyone. It's Fred Staab and Les Jackson. Les, what's going on this week with you?
Well, I'll tell you, Fred. It's been an exciting week in the auto industry, as it usually is. But I'm personally looking forward to an auto show here in D.C., and I get to go play with some toys. You know, a whole lot of them.
Yeah.
600 of them.
Wow. That sounds great, and definitely look forward to next week when you come back and tell me what you really impressed. We're really impressed with.
Yeah. Usually, as you know, usually it's two or three or four that just really blow you away.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what they are, but this week we're going to talk about some different vehicles, and one of them comes from the folks over at Cadillac. It is their fastest Cadillac ever, Les Jackson, and that is pretty big news for them. 615 horsepower, right?
That's big horsepower for a big, well-known luxury car. And
Lyriq V.
Yeah, it'd be fun to drive. And it seems like the Ram midsize pickup is a go. We've been predicting that, and according to some well-informed sources, the brand Honcho wants to revive another model as well. So, boy, they're not sleeping at Stellantis.
No, they're not sleeping at all, and we will tell you about what that other model is. It's probably one that you haven't thought of. So, but
right.
it is missed. Yeah. And what are the most expensive and least expensive vehicles in the USA to run? I think some surprises and maybe some not so surprises.
That's right. That's right. And there's a little bit of a surprise down in Florida this coming up. It's the Rolex 24 Hours at Daytona is happening. And we're going to tell you what Porsche and Aston Martin, and for the first time, Lamborghini have in store for the race.
Yeah, that's interesting. They never ran at the
No.
Rolex 24, but they're going to change that this year, and it will be interesting to see how well they do. Interesting race. I don't know. It's those endurance races. You're basically up for 24 hours because you can't sleep between the stints.
No, you can. I think you can rest a little bit, but you can't sleep. You can't get back your energy.
Yeah. So we'll talk a little bit about that and what's going into those races. And then interesting story here, auction action. Now, would you pay $330,000 for a clean stock C6 Corvette, nothing done to it? It is the base model. It's not a Z06 or anything like that. Would you pay $330,000?
No.
Well, one guy did at Barrett Jackson, and a lot of people are scratching their heads why, because some much more exotic Corvettes went for less than a third of that in pricing. So we'll kick that around.
Yeah, plus other people were bidding to get that bidding up there. So
yeah, at that point I would be like, I can find another C6 Corvette base automatic.
That's right. I don't really need it.
Yeah. Not at that price for sure. I would buy something. I'd buy an Aston Martin for that over a used C6. Well, also, there's a Maserati dealer that is auctioning off the full inventory of the dealership, and he's like, name your price. So won't that get interesting? Well, we'll talk about how some of these high-end vehicles, he's starting them way, way below the sticker. But I think that person may be taking a page out of that Barrett Jackson auction and say, hey, we'll get a lot of interest and get people really, pushing it, right?
Well, yeah, typically auctions are not the cheapest way to buy a car.
No. no. And you get a lot of people involved, and they get all excited, and that's it. That's what happens. All right. Well, that's all coming up on Cruise Control. All that and more when we get rolling. So let's jump into our first story, and that is the fastest Cadillac ever, and that comes in the form of the Lyriq V. The Lyriq V, we've talked a little bit about the Lyriq, but already now there is a Lyriq V, a high-performance electric Cadillac, right?
Absolutely. It's all Cadillac. If you look at it, it's it's a Cadillac.
Yeah.
And it's electric, and it's a whole lot of electric.
Yeah. Estimated 615 horsepower, 650 pound-feet of torque, and this is not a small vehicle. 0 to 60 time of 3.3 seconds with velocity max 1. I love that.
That's dumping a tremendous amount of watts into your motors.
What?
What? That's what.
Yeah.
See, the wonderful thing about electric motors is the torque. As soon as you get 1 RPM on the motor, you've got full torque.
Yes. And you're going to feel
that.
Cars
just don't do that. Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to feel that.
Gas back.
There's a little button on the steering wheel with the V on it. The V mode takes performance customization further. It allows drivers to save performance-focused settings, including competitive mode and unique sound experiences. And it offers instant access to their preferred performance driving settings via the V button. Sounds very similar to some of the things that Corvette has on their steering wheel.
I think they've borrowed a few little technologies. They've even got a competitive mode. Like you're going to put this on a track.
It could be less. Why not?
Well, sure. I mean, I can see people. Are we aware yet that there might be an SUV motorsports class? I don't know of one.
Well, I believe NASCAR is talking about going to SUVs. Believe it or not, SUV body styles, because that's what people are driving. So,
yeah, that's right.
And there's not that many cars around there. So. Around in the marketplace. So Brembo performance front calipers, standard Super Cruise. So that's the deal. It's a performance vehicle, yet it also has all the luxury treatments, the Super Cruise, the interior with power adjustable seat bolters, infotainment experience updated with customization options, a signature V-Series illuminated sill plate. So it's a luxury vehicle, and it's a performance vehicle, and it's an SUV, and it's a vehicle that you can take to track day, apparently. So it's a little bit of everything.
That's right. And it also, this is very rare. They're giving us the information, Cadillac's giving us the information that what the charge times are on your available electricity. So a typical house, 240 volt, not you can't really get much out of especially an older house. You get 19 miles of range per hour of charge time. But on a larger level, if you could get maybe 60 amps coming out of your system, you get 27 miles per hour. And then if you have a heavy up power panel, 44 miles of range per hour.
Yeah.
That's pretty good if you think about it.
Yeah, it is pretty good if you think about it. And I like the stance of the vehicle. I like the look of it with the wheels and how it sits. And, it's an all-anything type of vehicle. But what is that going to cost? Any estimates? I would say at least $100,000.
I'm always afraid to guess what the...
We don't have that information yet. This is a 2026, by the way.
I think I'm going to settle in at 85,000.
Wow. I think that's optimistic.
I think it is too.
I think it's more like 100,000, but we shall see. We will see as we go on, and we'll see what happens, because it's great to see exciting vehicles like this, and I just hope that continues on. I think we will see exciting vehicles from the folks at Cadillac, and apparently they are becoming the leader in performance electric vehicles. They are really becoming a leader technologically for this stuff. And I think a lot of people think this harkens back to the CTS-V station wagon. This is the bearer of that history, because that was a very popular model, and it hasn't been available for quite some time, but I remember people just loved it.
I think you're right, and they're making claims that they're the leaders, or at least they're saying they sell more electric vehicles than anyone else, any other single brand. Mm-hmm. Although I guess they're not really talking about Tesla.
Yeah.
But it's still, I gotta hand it to them. It's not the old stodgy doctor's car from 50 years ago.
Yeah, it's not, with the completely disconnected steering and the, sofa basically for a chair.
That's right.
Yeah. So, although I drove a number of those, and I didn't mind them for what they were.
They were very comfortable.
Let's talk a little bit about Ram and a midsize pickup truck, because according to the UAW, coming to Ram in 2027 will be a midsize pickup truck, carrying on the legacy of the Dakota, I would say.
Yep.
And this is something that, let's face it, Tim Kuniskis, who came back and is now running the Ram brand, said, I need something to compete with Ranger and even Maverick. I no longer have that classic Ram pickup that, they could start at, let's say, 40 grand. He was hinting he needs something. And I think that was what one of my old bosses would have, in the TV world, would have called dramatic foreshadowing. We need some dramatic foreshadowing.
Well, this is smart. It is not too late, because pickup trucks are just selling crazy everywhere. I would never have predicted as many people just would commute to work in a pickup truck, here in urban areas, but that's the way it is. And I think the new, is going to be called. No, we don't know what.
We don't know the name. They're not even acknowledging it. But here's the thing: UAW has said, coming to the Belvedere plant, which was idled. I believe it made the Jeep Cherokee. That was idled, and now they say, UAW, according to their contract, a new vehicle is coming in 2027, and that's what they say it's going to be, the smaller truck to take on the Toyota Tacoma. And, hey, I think that's a great idea, don't you?
Oh, yeah. I can't believe it's been 14 years since the Dakota was built.
Yeah, it's hard to believe.
Wow.
And for a while it was the Dodge Dakota, and then it became the Ram Dakota, didn't
right.
it? Yeah, so I think it's something they need to add to their lineup. The boss has said they're going to do it. Now UAW is saying they're on the line to do it. So, hey, let's. I can't wait to see it, and I don't know what will power it. Maybe there'll be a small hybrid. It's got to compete somehow with both Maverick and Ranger, Tacoma. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe they'll even bring out something even smaller. You don't know. But Stellantis has been re-energized. It's amazing.
It really is. It's just like, well, it is overnight in this case. Um, After the rapid departure of their CEO, they just, it's like everybody was standing ready.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
he's gone.
When
Quick.
he's gone, when we hear the door slam, all right,
Yeah.
let's. All right. Well, hey.
Open up that special factory.
Exactly. Well, we will be right back with more cruise control after this. We'll tell you about what other vehicle the head of Ram would like to bring back.
Cruise Control.
Hey, welcome back to Cruise Control. Fred and I can't wait to tell you what else Ram is going to bring back. And we probably wouldn't have guessed it if we had to just throw a quarter at betting on it. But it turns out, and we both think it's a good idea. Their guy, Tim Kaniskis, wants a passenger van.
Yeah, remember the old Ram passenger van? You were talking about it's been years since the Dakota's built. I can't even remember when the last time the van was built. The tradesman van,
the
right?
Tradesman. Oh man, we're going way back.
Yeah. But he says vans sell well, right?
They do. Again, I see a lot of vans. Now. I always assume people are using them as a work vehicle, but around DC, I see a whole lot of them with windows in them, and they're church vehicles.
Right. And the only one that's available now in the traditional form would be the GMC or the Chevy, because the Econoline hasn't been made in a long time, replaced by the Transit. And, of course, the Ram van's kind of replaced by the ProMaster, but that's more of a industrial delivery truck.
That's big, yeah. This is it's funny. I mean, it's just like the powers that be at Stellantis were just sitting there at the window waiting for Tavares to leave because they just had everything ready.
Right.
Okay, this is when he's gone, this is what we're going to build.
Yeah. You think about the market for those vans. Really, I believe also Nissan is gone, too, out of that market. Maybe I'm wrong, but Kaniskis talked to Automotive News, and he said the closest thing the company has right now is a commercial focus ProMaster, which starts at $44,960 and comes standard with 2 seats. It's just not really available as a passenger van. It's more of a delivery van with a seat thrown in the back. And he thinks it would be great for families and it's great for all kinds of people. I'd like to see another van. What do you think? I would love to hear from our audience what they think. Should they bring back the passenger van? I think it's to bring in a modern product. Let's face it, GM's product is ancient. To bring in a modern product to this would be great.
It would, and clearly there's a demand for these things, and GM is getting a lot of it. But as you say, it's ancient. That platform is 25 years old,
at least
30 years old.
At least that. I don't know what the underpinnings are like, but I remember they brought that van out in 1996.
Wow.
So it may be the same van, it may be the same chassis under it from earlier than that. That Corvette did that. Remember, it had the same chassis from 1963 all the way up through
82.
82 to the C4.
82, or was it 92?
No,
no, because then they went with the central bone. Okay,
yeah. So
it's a long time.
Looked different, but the same car. But I think it's a great idea. We'll have to see if this happens, and I kind of hope it does. So we're going to take a look at a study now, Les, on the least expensive and most expensive vehicles to run in the U.S. And I think this is good information because the only thing I know that's like it on the sticker is where it says fuel price and how much it will cost over a number of years, right?
Right. And that's really what drives this. It's mainly fuel price, obviously some degree of maintenance and tires and so on, especially for a performance car. But what's it cost to run? The two big things are insurance and gas.
Right. Well, this is a story that comes from Self Financial, and it is the study on the cost of ownership based on the 50 top selling models in the U.S. across all segments in the U.S. from 2022 to 2024. And key factors taken into this study include fuel costs, maintenance costs, insurance costs, various fees, and taxes, right? So to give you an idea of the breakdown of cost, annual fuel costs average $2,246, and they make up 34.8%. I don't think that's terrible, frankly, when you think of utility bills around where we both live. Annual maintenance costs $1,763, and that's 27.3%. By the way, one of the studies, they say the way to save money is do your own maintenance, oil changes, keeping the tire pressure right.
Well, sure, if you can, right?
If you can, basic stuff. If you have a newer vehicle, it doesn't take much time to do this. Oil changes, some people might not feel comfortable with that, but it's not a big deal, really.
No, it's just very, very messy.
It's messy, and you have to find the right place to get rid of the old oil. But anyway, another big one, and annual insurance costs, $1,633 on average, 25% of the running cost. This number has gone up. You and I have talked about this. This number has been going up. Cars getting more complex, more expensive to repair. I think I told you I have a neighbor that some guy backed into him at a parking lot, and he was told he was lucky they didn't get the headlights assembly because that's $2,500 just to buy a new headlight assembly. You know, so
Wow.
it was $7,000 worth of damage. Broke his grill, broke some trim pieces, you know, a little bit of body work here and there, but that's literally just somebody backing into him in a parking lot.
Yeah.
So he thinks it was a bus, so that just didn't see him at night or something.
It takes very little to do a whole lot of damage.
Yeah.
Cosmetic damage.
Yeah. So let's look at some of the most and least expensive vehicles. So the least expensive, we'll run them down. Number 10, Honda CR-V Hybrid. Annual fuel cost $1,549. That is a big savings. When you look at that.
It is, yeah.
Now, the annual fuel cost was $2,246 on average of all cars tested. This is $1,500.
So are we talking about like average mileage of like 12,000 miles?
You know, I don't think they spec that out.
They don't seem to. Now, it used to be 15,000 miles, but I think kind of NHTSA kind of considers it these days as 12,000.
All right. And then moving up, Toyota Camry, right? Another all-hybrid vehicle now. $1,712. Altima, $1,737.
About the same.
Number 7, Model Y. Tesla, $708. Well, there you go.
Okay, that's cheap, but it's assuming you have you're full-time charging it at your house.
Yeah, that's true. Honda Accord, $1,700. They go on up. Toyota Corolla. I'm just testing the new Corolla right now in the driveway. Well, I'll be testing it on the road. It's sitting in the driveway. $1,615. That's probably not even the hybrid. The hybrid's probably less.
No, that's right.
Hyundai Elantra, $1,615. And you have the top model Tesla Model 3.
The Tesla Model 3, $636 in electricity.
Yeah.
However, like the Model Y, the insurance cost is considerably higher. It's $2,241.
Yep.
Taxes are taxes. It depends on where you live.
Still comes in, though, total annual running cost of $5,000, just over $5,000. So it's the lowest.
Yeah, and that's not counting the payments on the car.
Yeah, this is just to keep it running. Keep it running. And it comes as part of this study from the Self Financial Group. Now, what are the most expensive?
Well, gee whiz, Fred. It seems to me that the most expensive to run would be the pickup trucks.
Yes, and there's 1 through 10. The Chevy Traverse, which is a large SUV, not super large, but medium. There you'll spend $2,730 a year on gas, for a total running cost of $7,431. And then you kind of move up the list. If you go up to, let's say, the F-Series pickup, number 6, those numbers are looking pretty beefy, aren't they?
They actually are, yeah. $3,200 for the $3,276 for the F-Series.
For gas.
A little tiny bit less for the Silverado.
Mm-hmm.
4Runner. $3,276. Same fuel.
When you add it all in, these are running about $7,800 a year to take care of plus, insurance, fees. In certain states, they have a column for taxes and fees. In certain states, you pay tax on your vehicle every year.
We do here.
So you're like Connecticut. They literally
in Virginia, yes, we pay. It's called the personal property tax, it's actually a garage tax, and it's there to help pay for the roads and the road upkeep in our northern. Well, it's everywhere, not everywhere in Virginia, but almost everywhere in Virginia. And it hurts. My Corvette, as an aside, Fred, back in 1971, I paid $5,500 for my Corvette. And over the years owning it, I owned it for 33 years. I paid for it again in personal property tax, cumulatively added over those 33 years. Seems crazy.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does seem crazy. But I believe in Connecticut, they actually pay almost like a sales tax every year on their car, and it's thousands of dollars.
Wow. Wow.
So it's a little. I mean, I don't live there, but this is what I've heard from people that live there. And while the house taxes are less expensive than New York,
Yep.
it makes up.
They always, if you look at, and this study has been done many, many times by CPAs and accounting firms. If you go all down the East Coast, that it all works out. Whatever the tax system is, it seems it's very consistent in total as a percentage of your whatever you're being taxed on.
Right.
So, yeah, you can't get away from it.
No, it's which pocket does it come out of? But it's always coming out of your pocket.
It's coming out. Yes, it's definitely coming out of our checking account.
So let's give the winner or the loser for the most expensive vehicle that you can run. The Chevy Tahoe, $3,276 of annual fuel cost. Annual maintenance about $2,000. Annual insurance about $2,000.
Mm-hmm.
Taxes and fees $1,319. Total running cost $8,644.
That's a very popular vehicle.
Yeah, and used by a lot of police agencies too.
Yeah, man,
that's a lot of money. It's
a
heavy truck. It's a heavy.
And if you bought one, a couple of years ago, and you're financing it over 6 years, you're paying $700-800 a month on the loan.
Right. But
yeah,
I don't think most people think that deeply on it. They think, I want a Tahoe. I like a Tahoe. I see them on the road. I like the way they look. So I'm going to get that. But you just think of this. If you are a police department and you run Chevy Tahoes with a 5.3 gas engine or the Ford Interceptor hybrid, how much money you can save the town or whatever county, wherever you are, if you run the hybrid police Interceptor over the Tahoe. It's probably significant, especially for a vehicle that might be running 24/7. I would look into the hybrid model. I
would too. I think it pays for itself pretty well.
Yeah. Hey, you're listening to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine with Fred Staab and Les Jackson. And we are glad you're along for the ride, taking some comments and questions on the chat, which is always fun. And a lot of people talking about the van. The Ram van may be coming back. But let's go over to Daytona, because the 24 hours of Daytona, or the Rolex 24, as it's been called for quite some time, is coming up. A little bit of history on that. The event, the first 24-hour event, happened in 1966 and was won by Ken Miles and Lloyd Ruby driving a Ford Mark II. How's that? A little bit
Yes.
And
That was okay. That was a Mark II GT40.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes. And 1966 also saw Susie Dietrich enter the 24-hour event, including driving a Sunbeam Alpine with Janet Guthrie and Donna Mae Mims, and the trio finished 32nd, and along with another women's team in the race, became the first women's team to finish an international standard 24-hour race. Wow, 24 hours in a Sunbeam Alpine. That would be
I was thinking the same
thing.
First of all, 24 hours in anything
Yes.
is brutal.
Yes.
And you always have two drivers because each driver drives for about 4 hours and then gets out and the next one jumps in. But think about it. You're not just sitting in a car driving, you're flat out.
Yeah.
And threshold braking and pulling G forces and focusing tremendously all the time on not crashing.
Yeah, that's right. Well,
that takes a lot out of you.
Yes, yes. Roger Penske's Porsche team is getting ready for this, and of course, he is always ready for anything.
Yeah. Of course.
So he's always done well there. So his preps, they were balancing. It's kind of a balancing act, tuning the Porsche 963 for Daytona's demand, high-speed oval sections versus slow technical infield passages. It sounds like a nightmare to do when you're tired, doesn't it? High-speed oval mixed with slow technical infield. So it's 61 race cars across 4 classes in a 3.56-mile circuit. Drivers adhere to a gentleman's agreement in steep banking sections. So because they are up on the oval on the bank.
Right.
Yeah. So Penske's getting ready for that. The big problem is what tire compound to use because you're on an oval track, you're on a road course, and you're alternating between them. So how do you do that? I don't know.
Well, you're going to, I believe, you're going to opt for something a bit less perfect for a banked oval, but better suited to the road course, which means you need to hold your speed down a little bit on the banked oval because, of course, you have no suspension.
Right.
The centrifugal
tires
force
are the suspension.
Bottomed out.
Yeah.
Tires are flattened down.
Yeah.
And things get real hot and real worn real fast.
Yes. Well, over at Aston Martin, they have 4 Vantage GT3s that will be in contention for the Rolex 24 class supremacy. They are targeting both the GTD Pro and GTD classes. Of course, there's races within a race. There's all different classes of vehicles, and they're all out there on the track together, which I always thought must be difficult because, you're not racing each other sometimes. You're racing the people in your class, but you have to get around those other people that could get in your way, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and obviously you're the fast ones, the performing vehicles have to get out around the slow, lesser powerful classes.
Yeah.
Without hitting them.
Yeah. Well, my question to you is, can a slower classed vehicle win the overall race? Is that even possible? Just because of the way it goes?
Only under one condition.
Okay.
back in the early days when the Cobras were first introduced, and Corvette, prior to that, Corvette was dominating SCCA racing. The Cobras came on the track and basically outran Corvette race after race after race after race. And the condition that the strategy that Corvette finally adopted was just hope that the Cobras will break down.
Yeah.
That's
really. Well, so whenever he breaks, we'll be able to take the lead.
So that strategy is they would go crazy fast, hard as they could to make the Cobras work hard and maybe overheat, and of course braking in a Cobra was the brakes were helpful, but not particularly
Thank
great.
you. That was less than adequate. Yeah,
that's exactly right. So no, I mean, unless something crazy like that happened where all the others just broke down, I can't imagine how underpowered, like the ladies in the Alpine.
I would love to see them win. I think that would be great.
Oh, I would love to see it too. I would love to see like who was the ski jump, Eddie the Eagle ski jump. I would love to see somebody like that win.
Yeah. Well, also at Daytona this year, a brand new Lamborghini SC63 to make the Daytona 24-hour debut as a factory entry. They got 4 drivers.
Going to be 4 drivers. Wow.
And I'm sure that will sound nice making its way around the track, don't you?
It's isn't that interesting that they're going to only run 1?
No, 4. They're running 4.
Oh, 4. Well, 4 cars. I mean, you need 2 drivers for each car.
Well, okay. It's 4. Well, actually, 4 drivers. 4 drivers and 2 cars. Yes.
Okay. So a small field, but won't it be interesting if they win?
Yeah. And apparently, in order to drive the 24 Hours of Daytona, you have to be a young, good-looking guy in great shape.
Oh, you do. You do. That's... I'm
just
sorry.
A very trim, athletic, good-looking young guy.
That's right. I'm sorry, sir. You are a spectacular driver, but you really are ugly, so you can't drive.
Yeah, they're just all, like kind of
every one of them. Every one of these, they all look like everyone looks like Central Casting went out and got a a race car.
Yeah, which is fine. I mean, that's fine.
I think it's fine.
Yeah, that's the Lamborghini SC63 making its debut at the Daytona 24 Hours. I'm just glad I can sleep tonight. I don't have to drive all through the night on the banked oval and the technical infield.
Yeah. It is a very well. You've been on the banked oval at Pocono.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to do it at night.
Oh no. Now I did the banked oval at the big one at the NASCAR oval out at Las Vegas, and that's banked all the way. And we were driving open wheel, basically Indy type cars, and that'll get you 10 laps, and you're not feeling great.
No. Absolutely. All right.
Paul was with me, my friend.
That's right. Our former host.
He was chasing as much as he could.
Yeah. Wow. That must have been an interesting day for sure.
It was a fun day. Carol Shelby drove behind, and we're just going crazy in these cars, and really worn out by the end of the afternoon.
Day. Yes. Talk about being worn out. This is a funny story. Wearing out your wallet. It's a little bit different. Barrett Jackson, of course, just had their Scottsdale auction, and of course, there's no shortage of money there. But typically, big money goes for. I always like watching Barrett Jackson in the early days because there are vehicles that go for between 10 and 20,000 within the realm of possibility of buying.
Right.
But then it gets ridiculous as they're like, well, this car was $3 million. Okay, so here's one that you would think would be within the realm of buying, but maybe not so much. So there was a 2012 C6 Corvette, a very clean car. The unique thing for it had 65 miles on it. Sounds like a car that one of someone we know might have.
I
we
was
won't
just
mention his name, but
just thinking of that.
Yes. It's not a Z06. It's not a ZR1. It was just a regular V8 with an automatic LS3. Nice, clean car. So what would that negating? Let's just say it was a clean car, not with 65 miles on it.
Just a really a new looking 2012.
All there, never wrecked. 30,000.
And you would
30,000. Would that be a high number?
30 to 40 would be a nice price for it.
Yeah, and I think that would be generous even, but that let's just say that. Certainly no more than that. Well, this guy paid $330,000.
Well, now, okay. How much do we know about this guy?
We don't know anything about him.
Now, I've heard of, I've observed auctions where somebody is bidding on the car they owned when they were 15 or 16 years old.
Could be that.
Or the car they got married in. And, okay, they're going to spring for a lot of money because it's an emotional bond to that car.
I don't think it was this specific car. I mean, he could find one like it for a lot less money, right?
You could build one for a lot less. So what possessed? And again, who were the other bidders? What about this car made people bid up to $330,000?
What do they call that when someone gets in bidding just to bump the price up? I think they call it a rabbit. Like, I don't really want the car, but I know you really do. So I'm just going to go in there and start raising it by 20 grand. And you're like, I really want this. And then, I just take it as far as I think I can. And then I bail out and say, whatever, I'm done.
or unscrupulous bidding companies, have a shill in there. Now, Barrett Jackson doesn't do that.
No. But there are a lot more exotic cars that went for a lot less. There was a 1,000 horsepower 2025 Corvette ZR1 that went for $175, which I think is almost the sticker for that.
That's basically the sticker, yeah.
So you could have had that and just a somewhat clean. I mean, hey, nothing wrong with the car. I looked at the pictures. It doesn't even have nav or it's not like a high option car even. It's just a clean car. It would be a great car to have, but not at that price.
There had to be some connection this person had with the car.
Or maybe he thought they said 33 and 33. Yeah, 33,000. That's good because that would be okay.
Well, no, I mean that was. I don't get it. Maybe I'll try to research this and find out, who this person is and why.
Well, here's another thing. Like there, also there, a 1993 C4 ZR1 with only 8 miles on the clock sold for $115,500. That's more collectible.
And
right?
much more collectible.
And much lower mileage, from 65 to 8. And then there was a 95 ZR1 with 73 miles, made $82,500. So what happened here? I think somebody didn't hear right. I think they thought it was 33,000. 3,300. Yeah, I'll buy it for 3,300. Also, the other problem is, you and I have talked about this at great length. What do you do with a car that's got ridiculously low mileage? It's unique for that. I'd rather get one that I could buy, that I could use.
That's right. I've met people at car shows that have these crazy low, haven't been driven on the road. They only go to car shows. And that's the problem. You've bought a piece of art. You can't drive it because you can't put miles on it. So,
right.
No, I just couldn't do that.
No, I think they're made to be driven, and I'd rather have something that had low miles, let's say 30,000 miles or something like that, that you could use and put some mileage on it.
I have figured out why the guy bought it.
Okay.
Some guy in Florida found one of the Spanish treasure ships underwater and got $500 million worth of jewels, and he put them in the bins behind the seats. And this guy found out about it. That guy died and sold the car, and the dealer just cleaned it up and put it at barge, and he knows that all that gold, silver, and jewels is in the back.
Yeah, those little storage areas in the back. I remember having a press car, and I found this giant coffee can filled with pennies in one of those. So it could be true. And I actually called up the people and said, "Hey, I don't know where this came from, or if someone was using this for ballast or something, but it's in here." And they're like, "You found it. That's great."
Wow.
Now,
okay, so that's my story, and I'm sticking with it.
It's plausible. How about this? Do you want a Maserati, Les? A French Maserati dealer is shutting down and is selling cars for whatever you'll bid. Right?
Wow.
So, bidding for the 2024 Gran Turismo Trofeo, worth over 255,000 euros, will start at 80,000 euros. This is the key. He knows it's going to go high, right?
Well, it has to, because, it won't just be one bidder there.
No, and they'll get a deal. It might be 255. If you went in to buy it, maybe they'll get it for 240 when they're done. Which is still a deal.
250, yeah. 254, 500.
CLG Motors is the name of the place, and he's selling 13 new and used Maserati cars. At least 3 Maserati dealerships were forced to close in 2024 as the brand sales dipped. But there you have it. So I don't quite know where in France.
Well, yeah.
But you'd have to
Maseratis aren't selling well.
Yeah. Beautiful looking car, though.
Beautiful looking. Gorgeous.
You can't go wrong with that tinted clear coat. Red, can you? I think, as we call it, soul red, as Mazda calls it, soul red. Yeah. Candy apple red. You can't go wrong with candy apple red. You spray anything with it, it looks pretty good, I think. Don't you?
Well, Italian cars should be red.
There you go.
That's my feeling.
Well, I know somebody that collects Ferraris, but they're all in white. He wanted to be different.
Interesting.
But I think most Ferraris are red, and you can't go wrong with red. That's what I always say. If you're buying a Corvette or something like that, you can't go wrong with red.
Well, remember the book, All Corvettes Are Red.
I think they were saying red line, like meaning they don't make money.
Yeah.
I got another car for you in red. How about a Duke Chevaux in red?
You know, I love these things.
I like the little truck version, but I like them all. Have you ever driven one? I haven't driven one.
You really owe it to yourself to drive one. Citroens, especially old ones, are the smoothest driving cars you've ever driven.
Wow. Well,
these are built back then, and maybe still so, but back then the Duchevaux and the Quatre Chevaux were built with such nice hydropneumatic suspensions that for farmers and for the delivery trucks, you could put a dozen eggs in them and drive it over a plowed field at 30 miles an hour, and it was guaranteed not to break any eggs.
Wow. Okay.
You can't believe how smooth these things are. Now, you also can't believe how crude and how noisy the engine is.
Well, that may be changing because according to a report, a new report says that they were bringing back the Duke Chevaux, the 2CV, which is not 2 horsepower, by the way. It had more than that. It had something to do with a tax or something in France. That's what it was named after, I believe. In 2028, they could reveal an updated electric, all reimagined version of the 2CV. Retro charm, low price, electric power. What do you think? Because
great idea.
You can't drive the in certain days in Paris. You cannot drive this classic version in there. They have, and that's France. Whenever I would go to Paris, I would see these cars everywhere, which I liked. I remember we were on a trip to Paris, and then we all stopped on our way back from the cafe and took a picture with one, and it had plaid seats in it, and it was red, and we all the journalists crowded around it and took a picture with it, you know?
Oh, yeah. They're just so charming.
Yeah. I like the delivery truck models. I think they look kind of cool, too.
Little delivery truck is quite cool.
You know?
And I think it's great that an electric version is coming out. I think this will be huge.
Yes.
There's just something about the French and their
quirky designs.
Quirky but brilliant designs.
Yeah. Yeah, if you go to Paris, they have a lot of urban cars and a lot of quirky looking designs, and it's just fun. They just make you happy when you look at them. It's like,
absolutely,
hey,
they're
look
happy.
at that.
They're happy cars.
Wonder what that drives like, you know. So I think it's cool. It will be sort of like when you think about the VW Beetle when they brought that back. How can we reimagine it? Well, they did, and it went through a couple of generations of it and was successful. Same thing they're doing now with the ID Buzz. So it can be done. It can be done well, and a lot of people have been electrifying the Duke Chevaux, the original ones. When did they stop building it? Not all that long ago, right?
The Duke Chevaux or the Beetle?
The Duke Chevaux.
Oh boy, in the 2000s.
Yeah, they weren't as cool looking when they went to rectangular headlights and things like that, but. It was originally a military vehicle. I saw some prototypes that had one headlight, and it was like one of these vehicles that you could drop from a parachute, and like a Jeep sort of. It was kind of like their Jeep.
Like a Jeep.
Yeah. So, cool stuff. Duke Chevaux. Would you be excited to see that? And I don't know if it would ever come to the U.S., but
Well, I don't know. Maybe a modern version would be able to pass all of the safety and
Yeah, but there's
so on.
no network to sell them. No, they're just not here. They're not here. I do remember when Peugeot was here, and they used to have that thing that says, "Now
Peugeot
you
was
know
here.
Peugeot." Yeah.
And Peugeot briefly in the 90s shared dealerships with Daihatsu,
That's a
which
weird combination.
wasn't the greatest combination.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Hey, well,
hey,
we appreciate you listening to Cruise Control. We're glad you were along for the ride with us. Time for me to say I'm Fred Staab.
I'm Les Jackson.
We are going to see you down the road. Take care.
Bye.